There's so much noise in the world today. For whatever reason, we all get to have our say, but respect for which everybody begs is hard to find with people so concerned with what's between our legs. Now, in the past, I've caused confusion, it's true. But what's the fun of living life pink or blue? I say, just tell them all to shut up and just be you. Now when I'm at the movies, standing in line, I might hear some guy shout out saying, "Girl, you look fine." Well, I may think it's rude, but that old attitude makes me laugh. Or if I'm on the phone, talking so bold, and that operator says to me, "Ma'am, please hold." Well, I know it's my voice. It's never been a choice for me. Well, I may sound like a dame, and my curves make them cry, but there is more man to me than meets the eye. No, I'm not either or, what a bore. I'm just me. Now when I'm at the doctor's for a little old checkup and he says I've marked the wrong box and I want to yell, "Step up!" Well, I take it in stride. It won't change what's inside of me.
Might change the results of that pap smear, though.
Or if I'm at airport security and they send in some chick to start patting me down until she notices my diction and my grammar correct. I am what I elect to be. Well, you may call me uncouth, call me in a pinch hitter. You can call me Miss or Mister, just don't call me a quitter. I've got nothing to prove, tall or dude. I'm just me.
Good morning. Welcome to Horizon Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm Michael McKee. My pronouns are they, them, their. I am today's worship associate, and I'm a member of the Radical Welcome Task Force. Today's worship leaders are the task force, as well as the Reverend Chris Rothbauer, whose pronouns are they, them, their. Friends, at this moment, if you have not already done so, please pull out your electronic devices and silence them. It is a marvel that we are able to connect to the whole world, our friends and loved ones. But for this moment, for this time, let us connect to the people that are here by silencing those notifications, and you can reconnect later. Thank you. We are excited to welcome you to our worship service this morning. We're so glad to have you with us here today. Whether you're joining us here and now in this room, or you're joining us remotely, welcome. Whether you are here for the first time or whether you've been here longer than you care to remember, all right? Here at Horizon, we welcome people of all faiths and of no faith in particular, whoever you are, whomever you love. Wherever you are on your journey, you are welcome among us. As a community, we also welcome the sharing of joys, sorrows, and concerns. So you are welcome to fill out a joys and sorrows slip and place it into the bowl up front here or in the lobby. And they're by the Welcome Center. They're in the pockets of the chairs. Every few chairs, there are little notices, and you're welcome to fill it out on there. Bring it up here. You're welcome to light a candle as well, anytime before the service or in the service from the beginning until we get to the offertory. Also, please stick around, be our guest for coffee and conversations after the service in the fellowship hall. I'm not aware of any other special announcements, so going once, going twice. Let me turn it over to Reverend Chris for our call to worship.
Our call to worship today is by Monica Jacobson Tennyson. Welcome, what you bring, who you are, enriches us all. We say welcome to your joy, your hope, your pride. We say welcome to your grief, your fear, your anger, and all the parts of you that are not ready to be seen and heard, welcome to them as well. For we are a people of faith. Faith in our expansive welcome, faith in our ability to grow, faith in the precious gift of our truths, faith in the promise of trying, learning, and changing, faith in our capacity to know ourselves and each other deeply. Welcome to you who are gay, straight, bi, pan, lesbian, queer, questioning, or unable to be contained in any word. Welcome to you who are trans, cis, genderqueer, non-binary, intersex, agender, and beyond words. And welcome to you who are human. Welcome to you who are loved and are loved. Welcome to you who are blessed, which is all of you. May this time together be a blessing. Come, let us worship together.
Our chalice lighting today is from Cindy Feskin. We are all capable in different ways with various strengths and talents. We are all holy, part of the universe and the interdependent web. We light this chalice, cherishing our differences and holding each other in sacredness. Please join in saying our affirmation, which is printed on the back of your order of service and projected on the screen. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in harmony with the earth, thus do we covenant together. Now please rise in body or in spirit for our opening hymn, Come, Come, Whoever You Are, number 188 in the gray hymnal, and the words projected on the screen.
Good morning, everyone. So as many of you already know, we every week work with Metro Crest to take donations of shelf staples. I can speak, I promise. Shelf-stable foods and or supplies, such as canned foods and or toilet paper. So if you have any such donations, please bring them to the center over here at the end of the aisle, as I invite the young and young at heart to join me up for story time. All right. So, do you have any brothers or sisters or siblings?
Oh.
No?
I have brothers for sure, but they're cats.
Oh, okay. I have a cat, so I got you. I come from a big family. I've got 8 siblings. I am going to read about a couple of siblings in a book called My Awesome Brother. My big sister Donna wasn't happy, so I tried to make her happy. by doing silly stuff. I tried something different each day. On Sunday, I pretended to be a dog. I crawled around and woofed and sat up and begged and made sad puppy eyes, but that didn't work. On Monday, I pulled really funny faces and crossed my eyes and made weird noises. That didn't work. On Tuesday, I pretended to be a fabulous dancer and twirled and jumped and tippy-toed all around the house, but that didn't work. On Wednesday, I raided the dress-up box, and I made myself look like a fairy clown ghost and followed Donna all around the house, making fairy clown ghost noises. But that didn't work. On Thursday, I said, let's play hide and seek. I hid under the bed, and I waited and waited and waited some more. But that didn't work. Yeah. On Friday, I put on a unicorn onesie and painted my face and did my hair all crazy. But that didn't work either. Oh, that would cheer me up. On Saturday, I ran out of ideas, and I was sad too. Then I found out why my big sister Donna had been sad. Donna wanted to be my big brother John. I like the name John. Now I have a big brother, John, and John is heaps happier. You know how I can tell? Because John pulls funny faces with me, and we laugh a lot. Because John dances and twirls and tippy-toes all over the house with me, and we laugh lots. Because John raids the dress-up box with me and dresses up as all sorts of things like fairies and clowns and robots, and we laugh lots. Because John plays hide and seek with me, and sometimes I win and sometimes John wins, and we laugh lots. Because we paint our faces and do our hair and all silly, and we laugh and laugh and laugh. I reckon my big brother John is awesome. The end. Don't you think it would be amazing if everyone treated everyone like they treated their brothers and sisters and siblings? Wouldn't it be cool? Everybody would care a lot about how everybody felt, huh? Right? Okay, well, I think it's time to send you off to class.
Good morning. This month's Share the Plate recipient is Horizon Get Out the Vote. I am Dave Troiano, and I'm leading our Get Out the Vote efforts. Our goal is to increase the number of Horizon members and other Americans who vote both knowledgeably and according to their values in the upcoming November national election. Our efforts this year will be important for 3 reasons. Typically, Texas has a very low voter turnout. Also, there are increasing threats to democracy by well-funded autocratic groups in this election. And thirdly, we find ourselves in a country that is extremely polarized. It's time for those of us who support our democracy to stand up and take action to save it from the powerful forces that are attacking it. As Dale Anderson, a member of the UUSJ board, says, let's give up being democracy worriers and become democracy warriors. We must work to ensure that our representatives work effectively and honestly to meet our needs. We need our elected representatives to provide legislation and funding to ensure our rights and secure democracy for all of us. So who we vote for and who wins elections truly does matter. To do our part, Horizon will host voter registrations and contact potential voters every means that we can: postcards, letters, phone banking, text banking, and maybe even in person. Yeah, it makes people a little nervous whenever I say that, I know. And we will talk to them to remind them to vote and to provide information to them, information on voting and issues. We've already held our first registration and information event at MetroCrest last week. We will work with other UU organizations as well: UU Social Justice, and of course Text UGEM, and UU The Vote. As Reverend Aaron illustrated so well, we can do so much more when we work together. If you have not been receiving my emails for Get Out the Vote, please send an email to socialresponsibility@horizonuu.org to get on our contact lists, and we'll alert you when there are opportunities to participate. The simple truth is, we must engage in voting activities like never before if we want our democracy to remain intact. So I hope you will give generously to our Share the Plate this month. As far as a little bit of the technical background of it all, today, all loose cash in the basket goes to Get Out the Vote. You may also give to Get Out the Vote anytime during the month of April. You can go to horizonuu.org/donate and select Give to Share the Plate, or use the word share on your text to give message. You may also place a check made out to Horizon UU with Get Out the Vote on the memo line, or cash in an envelope labeled Horizon Get Out the Vote in the offering basket on Sundays during the month. Or you can mail things to the church. Thank you for your support.
We've cleared off the table, leftovers saved, washed the dishes and put them away. I've told you a story, tucked you in tight, at the end of your knockabout day. As the moon sets its sails to carry you to sleep over the midnight sea, I will sing you a song no one sang to me. May it keep you good company. Oh, you can be anybody you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know that I will love you still. You can live by yourself, you can gather friends around, you can choose one special one, and the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're done. There are children who grow up strong and bold, while some are quiet and kind. Some race on ahead, some take it slow, some go in their own way and time. Some women love women, some men love men, some leave every label behind. You can dream all the day, never reaching the end of everything possible for you. Don't be rattled If you give your friends the best part of yourself, they'll give the same back to you. Oh, you can be anybody you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know that I will love you still. You can live by yourself, you can gather friends around, you can choose one special one, and the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the one you leave behind when you're done.
We have now entered the Johnson family dining room. They are sitting around the table, and it is dinner time. Let me introduce them. There is Mr. Johnson and his wife, Dr. Johnson, and their children, Taylor and Joe. Taylor is a student teacher at the local high school, and Joe is in his last year at that same school. Taylor, who uses they, them pronouns, and Joe, who uses he, him pronouns, attended a conference on transgender policy in sports at the local school district today. Let's listen in on the conversation.
So, Taylor, how was the conference on transgender policy in sports?
It was mostly good. First, let me tell you about who was there. And I don't mean who was on the panel.
Oh, what do you mean?
Yeah, it was amazing. We have to tell you about it.
To begin with, they had flags hanging from all the countries that represented all of the nations of the people from our whole community. They also had the rainbow flag for the LGBTQIA community.
That must have looked amazing.
It did. It was so beautiful.
And there were people in the audience of all colors and backgrounds, a real melting pot. One thing that really impressed me was the way the conference organizers welcomed everyone. They called out a welcome to every group.
Oh, yes. They welcomed everyone, no matter their income status, no matter where they live, no matter who they live with. They had a poster that said they welcome all sizes, all colors, all cultures, all beliefs, all religions, all ages, and all types of people.
You could tell that everyone felt welcomed and included. At least that's how it felt. It appeared to me. I even heard some people mentioning to each other that they had never felt welcome at these meetings before. But today they felt they belonged. And this was from those who were allies of transgender people, as well as those coming to oppose the new policies.
We were really impressed that they started off the program with inclusivity. So we found the organizers, Ms. Garcia and Mr. Chastain, after the conference to ask how they managed to get such a varied group to attend.
Oh, that's why you were a little late coming home?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh no, it's okay. I'm glad you talked to the organizers. What did you learn?
Well, one thing they did was extra advertising for the meeting in neighborhoods where there are groups of people who don't usually show up at these meetings.
They also advertised in people's native language, so they were sure to understand. It sure seems like it paid off because there were a lot of people there. And at the meeting, they included translation services as well as sign language interpreters, so everyone could understand and participate.
We learned that inclusivity is really important. It brings all of the people to the table who should be involved in discussing policy and decision-making, policies or decisions that affect them or their children directly. They have a stake in that outcome, and by being included, they are involved in that outcome. Not everyone gets what they want, but they are involved in that outcome. By being inclusive, it's a big step forward in treating everyone with respect and grace, and letting them know that they deserve to be there and be heard.
Unfortunately, despite their best attempts, the panel was unable to come to a decision about district policies on transgender people in sports, in spite of all of the supporters at the conference.
Yes, that's true. But it was a beginning. We saw that bringing diverse groups to the table by being inclusive leads to really good discussions. Getting the dialogue going about this really important topic was a great first step. The district says it will continue the discussions until some sort of policy is decided upon. It probably won't suit everyone, but at least everyone had a chance to have their voice heard.
It sounds like it was a really good experience for you. So tell me, what else did you learn at the conference?
Well, we'll let them finish their dinner in peace. We hope you enjoyed this dinner table discussion on inclusivity and that it gave you some things to think about.
Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Sandy Steele, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. So some of you may be wondering, what is the Radical Welcome Task Force, and why are we here talking about radical welcome? So I'm going to answer a few of those basic questions. So this task force was formed after a number of us attended the Transgender Inclusion in Congregations workshop series that started back in April of 2023, before we even knew we were calling Reverend Chris, our minister, to be our minister. At the completion of the workshop in June of 2023, 11 people from the class formed a task force, and I'd like those here today to stand, please. Just stand where you are. And the names are up here. Thank you, guys. It's an awesome team. What we found is that radical welcome means more than just inviting people in. And we're hoping you understand what that means by the end of this service, today even, and especially if it makes you a little uncomfortable. Why is this so important? Well, our mission does say that we will welcome radically, love boldly, grow spiritually, and serve courageously. So we form a beloved community where all can thrive, right? We're called to live into that mission and vision. And we want to see Horizon as a place of inclusion, affirmation, and advocacy. Clearly, our initial scope was on the LGBTQIA community, but as we met, we quickly realized that radical welcome empowers everyone's participation, especially those with marginalized identities. The scope of our task force then kind of shifted. We want it to be a place where people can be their authentic selves. So it does include transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming people, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, those living with disabilities, biological and non-traditional families, different cultures and ethnicities, all ages, of course, youth and young adults, all socioeconomic classes, all body shapes and sizes. So what I'm about to share with you very briefly is the 3 models of inclusion and that we learned about in that workshop. As such, it had a more singular focus on gender identity and how to radically welcome transgender and non-binary people. And you can see that from the LGBTQIA flags and symbols that have been around Horizon. But we are now working to get all our diverse cultures and issues, social justice issues represented. So our task is big. It's big. But we are working to widen the circle even more going forward. So even though this model was introduced to us by the Trans Inclusion Workshop, it was actually adapted from a Protestant church's welcoming model. The biggest advantage is that it gives us a means to track and measure our transformation journey to radical welcome. So what's the difference between invitation, inclusion, and radical welcome? Invitation is when you say welcome, that all are welcome. Inclusion is when there's more explicit effort to be welcoming. And radical welcome is when all are integrated. But honestly, this image spoke to me better to represent the outcome. So I'm going to do a very quick dive into each of these models. The invitation model is just the beginning, and many, if not most, liberal churches start, and many stay right here. This is where all are welcomed, but all are also expected to be assimilated into a like-minded community. I know a lot of you have thought about that, which is the dominant culture of our church. Generic welcoming statements are delivered, but if you aren't like us, you start to feel left out. The result is that the congregation maintains a monoculture where outsiders really don't fit in. There we go. The inclusion model is more progressive. Pronouns may be on badges, and efforts are made to have all gender bathrooms, and a few ethnic holidays are celebrated. But these are surface level changes. No major changes made to our underlying practices and systems like pastoral care or stewardship or even worship. So there still is a mostly monoculture with some pockets that are breaking through. So transgender, BIPOC, and culturally diverse members may stay longer, but may also struggle to feel complete belonging. And honestly, this is where Horizon is today, and we're really trying to move the bar into the next category, because radical welcome requires more. Okay, there we go. The congregation embodies the belief that gender diversity, cultural diversity, people and family diversity are all sacred. We're all human. We are enriched when individuals can authentically express themselves. Everyone takes responsibility, and all genders and cultures are reflected in membership and leadership. Members grow deeper in their faith through relationships. Ministries of the congregation are constantly reshaping with all our diverse people in mind. So now I'm going to turn it over to my partner, Terry, for further reflection. Oh, I'll grab this. Make sure I don't get some.
Hello. Oh, that was a good hello. My name is Terry Dumas, and I go by the she, her pronouns. Some of what I say today will be the second time you hear it after what you heard Sandy say. But that's okay, because it's good to hear things more than once, right? Good. Well, as you've just seen and heard from Sandy, there are these three models of welcome: the invitation, the inclusion, and the radical welcome. Horizon is transitioning away from being a congregation of just invitation or inclusion toward becoming a congregation of radical welcome. That's the one we're heading toward. That's where we want to be. Let's understand what that means on a little bit deeper level. Now, first, as Sandy said, it's important to realize that the three models of welcome were introduced to us as they were focusing primarily on the trans community. But they were created initially for churches trying to improve their welcome for all marginalized groups. I think we too want to improve our welcome for all marginalized groups. But just inviting all in and being inclusive doesn't get us to our vision of a beloved community and a radical welcoming community. That's just not enough. By expanding the welcome and doing more, we can actually be more. And to do that, we must embrace the radical welcome model. As I see it, to get there, to be a really radically welcoming people of all, we must focus our goal away from that of just assimilating people into our existing like-minded community, or just doing the surface level changes that Sandy talked about to welcome the other while expecting them to become like us. We must instead work toward a goal where we all agree that when we express ourselves fully, when we can all be our true, authentic selves while still keeping in covenant, we will learn from each other and become more enriched. If you remember, our covenant asks us to commit to right relations with each other from a foundation of love and respect. We are asked to choose to act with love and forgiveness, to be respectful of different cultures and identities, to try to understand the other person's perspective, to communicate with kindness and actively listen to understand, to accept responsibility for our individual actions. So you see, our covenant and being radically welcoming fit together like a hand in a glove. And this applies to all of us, our minister, our leaders, and all of you. Now, being radically welcoming will take effort. This means each and every one of us is responsible for developing a space where everyone feels they belong on equal footing. We are responsible for building relationships with all who enter through our doors, whatever their identity, being especially aware of those whose identities are marginalized and oppressed in our society. We can support all of our members and visitors by actively and openly rejecting harmful norms. And we can pay particular attention to developing leaders from among all of us, intentionally including people of different races, color, sexual or gender orientation, or other identity. Here's the deal. To become a fully welcoming church, as the radical welcoming model calls us to do, is so much more than just being welcoming. It will take sustained, specific actions and effort. So what does this look like? Well, we start with having a clearly labeled, accessible all-gender bathroom, as we now have. Some of the efforts that we've done so far get us into the inclusion and past the invitation into the inclusion model. But as Sandy said, we want to go past that, but let's talk about some of the things we have done. And we use our pronouns, especially those of us who are cisgender or identify as the gender we were assigned at birth. Our worship associates and Reverend Chris are already doing that. But we don't just use our pronouns, we explain why we use our pronouns. Our pronoun workshops teach that why. And we've already done several. I just did one this last Wednesday, and we hope to do more. So keep an eye out in the future for more pronoun workshops. Pastoral care will meet the needs of trans people and their families and other marginalized peoples in ways that they need that care. We will have LGBTQIA-themed worship services, and worship leaders will be inclusive in their language, readings, and music choices. We will also provide opportunities to be educated on trans and LGBTQIA+ issues, as well as on issues of all races, cultures, and marginalized people who attend our church. And we will find ways to celebrate all of our communities year-round. And we will, for example, we held a Diwali service. I don't know who was here for that. That was good. And we had a Transgender Day of Remembrance. Our social justice work work we do that arises out of our core values will expand to encompass concerns of the LGBTQIA+, trans, BIPOC, disabled, and other marginalized identities. We will want to avoid gender stereotypes in all aspects of church life. Volunteers, leaders, and staff will learn and will use the particular skills and practices for being sensitive in their use of language with the marginalized. And we plan to update the hearing devices used in the sanctuary for the hearing impaired. We will, in worship, in congregational life, in religious education, and in community engagement and social justice, value trans, LGBTQIA+, non-binary, people of color, and people of all backgrounds as a central part of our church community. And by valuing them and giving them space to authentically exist, to truly be who they are, we will provide them the opportunity to deepen their spiritual life, rather than spending all of their energy advocating for their existence. We will examine existing subcultures to identify how they can contribute to and help form the congregation's diverse new culture. We will work to prevent prejudice and stereotyping in congregational life, in our religious education, in worship, and among all volunteers and staff. I think that by having this forward-reaching goal and making the effort, it will allow us to transform from a monocultural, primarily middle to upper class white cisgender congregation where trans or other marginalized people visit once or twice but don't stay or struggle to feel like they completely belong. It will allow us to transform to a congregation where marginalized peoples become members and become leaders. This last point is very important to the functioning of a radically welcoming church. We must develop people from all of our marginalized groups so they can achieve leadership positions. And also very important, we want everyone, through their relationships with each other's authentic selves, to be able to develop their faith and grow deeper in that faith. Being a radically welcoming church provides us a great opportunity for that. To be honest, there is more to do than I have time to reflect on here. Seek out a member of the Radical Welcome Task Force after the service to learn more about what has been done and what we can do. Now, some of you probably heard Alex Capitan's powerful sermon Sunday morning on Installation Day. I hope you did. It was just great. Alex tells us that, quote, "For decades, Unitarian Universalism has attracted and raised thousands and thousands of queer and trans people, people of color, disabled people, neurodivergent people, Spanish speakers, undocumented people, poor and working class," close quote. Alex asks, quote, "Who would we be if all these people had stayed, instead of the vast majority of us leaving disappointed or feeling pushed out with the sense that this couldn't be our spiritual home? What would this faith look like, be like, act like if all of us had stayed?" Close quote. Let's not let that happen here at Horizon. Let's welcome all people. Let's blend together the cultures of the marginalized and the dominant and create a wholly new, diverse, compassionate culture. Let's do more than just say we are a radically welcoming church at the closing of service each Sunday. Again, in Alex's compelling words, quote, "The sort of UUism I was raised to believe in and practice, The sort of UU church I need is multiracial and multilingual and multi-generational and multi-theological. It is full of queer and trans people and gospel music and pop songs and all kinds of ancestral wisdom and magic and saints, where service means community care, not charity, where no one is forgotten or left behind because they don't have any money or don't have a ride or are isolated for any number of other reasons, where every single person feels a deep sense of belonging and the knowledge that here you are cared for, here you are held in love, here you are safe, where every single person who arrives here or is raised here experiences unconditional love from their very first moment, close quote. So I challenge you, let's this be the church that Alex so elegantly casts a vision of, starting right here, right now. I challenge you to extend a welcome to all, to use your pronouns, and to respect others' use of them, to provide pathways to leadership for the marginalized, and to allow all with whom you develop relationships to be their true, authentic selves. I challenge you to develop and grow your faith as a radically welcoming member of this church. I challenge you to lean into the covenant and all that it means to be in right relations. Lean into your compassion and lean into love and embrace what being a radically welcoming church means. If we do this, we will be a congregation of all genders and sexual orientations. We will be a congregation of Black, Indigenous, and all people of color, as well as those with disabilities. We will be a congregation of non-traditional families, of different ethnicities and cultures. We will be a congregation of all ages, of varied socioeconomic classes, and a congregation of all body shapes and sizes. We will be a congregation of radical welcome on our journey toward becoming a beloved community.
We take time now to honor the sorrows and joys of this community, knowing that we are all interconnected and what affects one affects us all. A joy from Diana Stallard, Crystal Mason's wrongful conviction and 5-year sentence for illegal voting was overturned. Sorrow from Joanna Cronky for her sister Jeanette, who loved all flowers and gardens in spring. She would have been 56 this year. And a sorrow, Sarah expresses deep anger for clouds for blocking the sun tomorrow. And we light one more candle for all those joys and concerns that are left unspoken and reside only in our hearts. Will you please join me in the spirit of prayer or meditation in whatever way feels right, with these words from Amy Morgan Zucker Stern, who adds a preamble that the Hindu god Indra is said to have created reality as a great net, with jewels at each intersection of the threads. Each jewel is reflected in every other, and they are all connected to the infinite, intricate web. The jewels are sacred, and so is the net that connects them. And so I pray, spirits of life, god and goddesses of many unknown names, you are the between spaces of our lives. Where one hand reaches to touch another, you are there. Where eyes meet across the crowd and confusion, and find understanding, you are there. Where the spark leaps from one mind to ignite another, that is you. Wherever we connect, you are that connection. When we are in the in-between, on our way from the tolerable to the unknown, when we defy the categories that small minds invent and dare to imagine something beyond, when we seek others who are on a journey, on a threshold, on the margins, in any of the shimmering intersections of our lives, when we listen to the possibilities whispered within and step into mystery, with trust, with fear, with trembling, may we find peace, for we dwell in your sacred place. Blessed be.
Anyone
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Carrollton's hottest new talk show, live with Reverend Chris. I am really excited today to have two great guests with me, straight from sunny Louisville, Kat. And from beautiful Hickory Creek, Karen. Now, thank you for joining me today. I understand you're members of something called a Radical Welcome Task Force. I was wondering if you could tell me, why did you join the Radical Welcome Task Force?
After taking the transgender inclusion workshop last year, I realized there was so much I just didn't know or understand. I thought joining the task force would help my own personal growth and development, and it would help me understand what being a radical, welcoming church means. And I wanted to be part of that process. The world is changing, and I need to understand the changes. No matter how old we are, there is always room to understand and to change and to love.
Well, like Karen, I also attended the Transgender Inclusion in Congregations workshop last spring. And I felt it was important to follow through with action once I was made aware of the difference between being a welcoming congregation and being a radically welcoming congregation.
Interesting. So why do you think this group's work is so important?
In order to be a truly welcoming church, our congregation needs to be educated on what it means to be radically welcoming. The task force can do this. They can help us learn. Welcome is not just simply letting people in the door. It also means the congregation is willing to be changed by those who come in. Willing and delighted to bring new people into leadership and encourage listening to new and different visions. We are all unique and deserve to be heard.
Well, I believe that it's important for Horizon to take the next steps to fully embrace what it means to be a radically welcoming congregation. For example, we've done a really great job in installing ramps in and around Horizon for people who are living with disabilities. But I know some of you probably have noticed that the restroom doors are kind of hard to open, they're heavy. And this is one of the projects that the task force is working on to make our church more welcoming to everyone.
You mentioned it being a part of the congregation's work. How do you think that this group's work supports Horizon's mission and vision?
Our vision I take very seriously. It was one of the things that drew me to this church. Welcome radically, love boldly, grow spiritually, and serve courageously. We envision a beloved community filled with compassion, helping all to thrive in a just world. To me, it means we will meet you in the vulnerable space between us. We will meet you in that space where the I is dissolved and the we take shape.
The first line of our mission statement is to welcome radically, which is the focus of our task force. But I believe through the work we are doing, we are also deeply connecting to the rest of our mission and to our vision, which Karen just said so beautifully, and I couldn't say it any better.
Well, how do you think Horizon will change if we embrace the radical welcome model that's been described this morning?
I hope that our church will be a strong leader in the community and in our state by making the words love and radical welcome action words that embrace all, that those who come through our door feel loved and embraced and are encouraged to have spiritual development with all of us.
By opening ourselves to these changes, I believe we will be more inviting to visitors and will more closely represent our values to the wider community.
Now, what happens if we don't embrace the radical welcome model?
I tried to come up with a lot of things, and to be honest, I couldn't imagine it. It wouldn't be the place that I love or the people that I love, and we'd be letting ourselves down, our community, and all those that we love.
If we stay where we are, we will have missed an opportunity to be an example to our community of how we can actually live our lives, if we could actually live our values through our faith instead of just paying lip service to its mission. I also believe we will fail to grow, and in time, we will lose members.
Well, you've given us a lot to think about this morning, and I think it's really important to hear from two very long-serving, active folks like yourself who have done a lot for our congregation. So I want to thank you both for being here with us today and for sharing your thoughts on radical welcome. Thank you for tuning in to Live with Reverend Chris. Tune in next week when the panel will discuss coffee hour. Necessary or yes, please?
We extinguish this flame, but not our commitment to Horizon's mission. Please join me to welcome radically, love boldly, grow spiritually, and serve courageously. This we do because we envision a beloved community filled with compassion, helping all to thrive in a just world. Now, I must point out that we are an imperfect church and we have mistakes, even in the order of service. We have the wrong hymn printed. Please rise in body and spirit as you're willing and able for a different closing hymn, We Are Family, with adjusted lyrics projected on the screen. And the lyrics today are, I got all my siblings and me. So,
Before I give my benediction today, can we give a round of applause to the Radical Welcome Task Force who they did about 99% of the work on this service, so thank you to them. Our benediction today is by Cricket Hall. May the drag stage rise to meet you. May the world rise to accept and embrace you. May the rainbow of love enfold you. May your fluidity never be hindered. May your pronouns always be supported and your dead name forgotten. May those you invite into your life remain loyal. May your chosen family lift you up and catch you when you need it. May you be able to catch others when they need it. May you remember sensitivity is not weakness, but instead a great strength welling up inside you. And until we meet again, may you remember that you are loved and you are divine. Amen. Blessed be, and go in peace.
Thank you.